how to finally get consistent with your yoga practice. Hello you, welcome back. My name is Angie Tawari. I am a yoga, meditation and breathwork coach based in London, and today it is International Yoga Day. Although you may be watching this when it is not International Yoga Day, this is still going to be really beneficial to you. Now, so many of my clients and people that come on my retreats tell me I just haven't got into that steady practice and that routine and that rhythm. And I noticed that there are some key reasons why this is happening, and I wanted to share them with you if this is something that you are struggling to do. You want to practice yoga regularly, you want to be consistent, you want to really reap the incredible benefits of the practice of yoga and all that it entails, but you just can't get consistent with it. And I know how it feels when you fall off the bandwagon. It's honestly terrifying to get back on if you've not been into your practice for a while. In this video, you can expect me to go through the key mistakes I see people making in losing their consistency and how you can actually finally become that yoga practitioner that you really want to be. So let's get into it. The first thing is duration. People think that because gyms and yoga studios have yoga classes that are 45 minutes, 1 hour, probably a minimum of 30 minutes, that in order to practice yoga, you've got to do it for that amount of time. And if you don't do it for that amount of time, then you're not really doing it. That is fundamentally incorrect. You've got to realize that yoga is an ancient practice that has been passed down over centuries and centuries, and that was before clocks existed. So people have been practicing yoga in caves with no understanding how long they're actually practicing for. And I think that's a really key thing to remember, that actually this concept of 45 minutes to 1 hour for a class is something that's really new and very modern. So instead, I want you to focus less on the duration, because it's better that you practice yoga for 2 minutes every other day than practicing it for 1 hour once a week, getting your fix, when maybe that whole week you've really been needing some respite and you've really been needing some of the benefits from our practice, but you're not actually getting it until Sunday at your 10 a.m. class. So what I want you to think about is, how can I incorporate yoga into my everyday? What I like to do is think about the little habits that you do every day and how can you incorporate yoga into those habits so you don't forget to do it. So number one, when I'm brushing my teeth, I've got my electric toothbrush, I've got the 2 minutes on the timer as I'm doing my teeth, not on the timer, but on the toothbrush timer, you know what I mean? I will do hip circles, I will do side stretches, I maybe will do stretching of my neck from side to side, any physical movement that I can do rather than just standing still and brushing my teeth. Getting in those stretches and that mobility at the start of my day and at the end of my day, I always remember to do it. And yeah, it's only 2 minutes in the morning and 2 minutes in the evening, but that's 4 minutes in the day when I otherwise would just be standing there and I don't actually have to think about it. I don't have to roll out a mat to do it either. So practicing in the pockets of time that you have, because we are all really busy, and linking it with a micro habit that you already do anyway is a really good place to start. Number two is the type of yoga. So a lot of us associate the practice of yoga with only being the physical movement, and that is just incorrect. Yoga is the umbrella term for so many different practices that come underneath it, from meditation to pranayama, the breathing techniques, philosophy, mudras, chanting mantra, and of course, practicing the yoga poses known as the asana or the asana. You can do any of these practices and you are practicing yoga. So don't always think about it having to be a physical movement that you've got to do to stay consistent with your yoga practice. It may be something as simple as reading a few pages of one of the ancient texts, such as the Bhagavad Gita or the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, to keep your practice up and to keep understanding more about how to apply the ancient wisdom of yoga into your modern everyday life. It might be that before you go to bed, you do certain breathing techniques to self-regulate, to calm your nervous system and help you sleep better. We've got lots of videos on here if you want to try any of those out. So thinking about it not always having to be a 45-minute or 1 hour physical class, and thinking instead about how can I do it more regularly? How can I still get yoga into my day without it necessarily always having to be physical movement alone? The third one that I always see is people using yoga. And what I mean by that is only going to the practice when they're feeling burnt out, really stressed, or really physically tight. So we cannot just neglect this practice and come back to it whenever we want to. It just doesn't work like that. And actually, if you come to a breathing technique or a yoga practice of any type, when you are in a really burnt out, stressed and anxious state, it is going to be a lot harder and it is going to take you a lot longer to actually sink into the practice and get into it. And then we start thinking, oh, yoga's actually not relaxing. It's not this miracle cure. And that's the thing, it's not a miracle cure. It takes dedication, it takes time, and it takes practice. I really recommend to all my students to make sure they are practicing as much as when they feel great and their body feels really nimble and mobile, as when they're not feeling so great and they feel that they really need their yoga practice to help them come out of whatever rut they feel stuck in, whether that's physical or whether that's emotional. Try not to use it as an escape when you desperately need it, because it is going to be a lot easier if you already have a consistent practice. When you get into a little rut or you feel like not quite yourself, your practice will be there to pick you up. You have all the tools, you have all the tips in your little toolbox, and you will be able to get yourself out of that rut a lot easier, quicker. It will feel a lot less stressful. And ultimately, it is a practice that's so much more than what we just do when we're moving on our yoga mats. It's so much deeper than that. Yoga is a spiritual science. So it really is about tapping into a deeper sense of awareness, a higher point of consciousness, that even though that feels really far away to reach for many people, with that consistent regular practice, I promise you it feels easier and easier. But it does take time, it does take practice, and it does require consistency. So to wrap up, firstly, think less about how long you're practicing for and just go for a couple minutes every day if you can. Secondly, practice lots of different types of yoga, from your movement to your breathing techniques to holding certain mudras to practicing meditation. Like I said, a bunch of classes on here and over 300 classes on my membership platform, Unearthed. You get a 50% off code in the description if you want to join. And then thirdly, not using the practice when you're feeling down and actually going to it more regularly so that when you are feeling down, it's there to pick you up because you already feel really familiar with it. So hopefully those 3 tips helped. Like I said, those are the things that are most common with all the people that come on our retreats, all of my clients. I really notice that they want that consistency. It just feels like a struggle to keep up. And I know that these are the blockages that people have. So hopefully this helped. If it did, make sure that you save it, hit subscribe. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I love to read them. I love to hear from you. I reply to every single one. And I can't wait to see you again very soon in our next practice. Bye.